Welcome to TNR Mondays, our weekly recap of what happened in the past weekend of college football. In this episode, me and Ryan are going to break down the big games and any exciting news from the past weekend and talk about Arkansas, Clemson, Oklahoma, and what all. So, thank you for watching TNR Mondays, our weekly recap.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the TNR Sports Show. The TNR Sports Show. I didn't think it would start this hot. There's Ryan. Say hey, everybody, Ryan.
Hello.
Here we are, first week. We're starting off hot. Super hot. Clemson loses. Boom, bang, boom, done. Clemson, boom. Lost to Georgia. We're going to be starting off with that. Before we start off, I want to read our predictions. We need to be accountable. We need to be held accountable. So here we go. I'm reading them. All right, I got it pulled up right here. Lord, if I can pull them up. All right, the Coastal one. So we were both right there. Ohio State one, we were right there. We were wrong. UNC, completely wrong about that. Oklahoma, Tulane, we were right about that. South Carolina, we were right about that. Wisconsin, wrong. Arkansas, right. Alabama, right. Indiana, wrong. Texas, right. And lastly, lastly, Ryan was wrong about LSU. I was right about UCLA.
Very happy about that.
Very happy. Also very happy. It brought me much joy after Clemson lost.
Did you hear about what Orgeron did apparently at the end of the game? We'll get into that when we get there.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. No, I hadn't heard anything.
Well, we'll get into it.
Clemson versus Georgia. Ryan was wrong. I was right. Because I picked Georgia. I didn't want it to happen. I was trying to do a little reverse psychology. You know, it is. You know, it is what it is. You know, hey, what do you do? All right, Ryan.
Not happy about that.
All right. Well, let's go on there. You know, we didn't dig around. Let's get into it. Clemson loses Georgia. What are we thinking?
There are a lot of thoughts. I think that both of us are feeling about that game. DJ looked horrible.
Yes.
He was under pressure. He looked like a deer in the headlights.
Absolutely.
He looked freaked out. He was missing open targets. He would pretty much just see one receiver covered, and he'd just freak out. He wouldn't go through his progressions, and he was just second guessing every single thing. And unfortunately, the offensive line was absolute garbage. It was just pouring. It was awful. I think if the O-line had been a little bit better, DJ would have calmed down a little bit, but there was no room to calm down. It was just complete chaos. Georgia had 7 sacks on DJ, and Clemson rushed for 2 yards that entire game. 2 yards and 7 sacks. However, the one plus is that the defense looked phenomenal. The only points that Georgia scored were the pick 6 that DJ threw while Clemson was in field goal range, unfortunately. And then Georgia did get field goals. So the only points the defense actually allowed was a field goal. They played phenomenally against a good Georgia offense. What are your thoughts, Trennon? What are your kind of takes on that?
Oh, there we go. I have a couple thoughts about that game. Here first, my first thought. Coaching staff surrendered before the game started. I heard reports that Clemson was game planning around Georgia's good defensive line and that the run game wasn't going to be accessible. I don't know a whole lot about football. I know a lot, actually, but I don't know, I'm not a coach. I don't get paid millions of dollars like these guys do. But I just don't understand the concept of completely giving up on the run game. Clemson has gone against, they must have no confidence in the offensive line, which is terrible. It's bad. It is leakier than the Titanic. Boom, joke. It's terrible. It really was. And the way that their blocking was bad, and because it makes me think, right? Because if they were that easily surrendered to the fact that they thought that they couldn't run the ball before the game even started, you must think that your offensive line is bad. Because throughout the years, we have seen Clemson run and face some incredible defensive lines. I mean, they have played against Alabama. They played against Ohio State. They have played against Georgia before. Notre Dame has all those teams always have great defensive lines. Maybe not as good as this one, which this one is.
Bama's previous defensive lines were.
I mean, this one they have right now, Georgia is great. But, I mean, Clemson has gone against good defensive lines. So to sit there right before your game plan, then they announced it last week, basically. I listened to a thing where they said this phase of the game is taken from us.
Yep, I remember.
You must have no confidence in your offensive line, and you shouldn't. After last night, passing, I don't know a lot about, I don't know if the audience knows a lot about offensive line. I was on the offensive line when I was in high school. And the thing about offensive line, run blocking is a lot harder than pass blocking. Because run blocking, you got to go meet them, right? You have to push them. You got to go push, make a way. Where pass blocking, you're just trying to hold back the gates. You're just trying to hold back their momentum. There's a difference. You're moving backwards versus moving forwards. And it was they couldn't do the easier one.
They couldn't do either.
I mean, Clemson would run. I mean, Georgia would blitz 4 people and they would make sacks. And if they blitz 5, it was over.
Yeah.
It was done so. I listened to Dabo's press conference also. He said DJ didn't calm down for 2.5 quarters. So that would place us middle of the third. That would be about right. That was when Clemson made their drive to get the field goal.
Yeah.
And then also another spin, Ryan, you probably will agree with us. A lot of criticism has come for Clemson today. Deservedly so. They were terrible in offense.
Yeah.
But Georgia's offense wasn't much better. Or if better at all, they didn't score any offensive touchdowns either.
No.
Now, they could have probably at the end of the game, they were kind of moving on us, but they didn't. So, I get it. Clemson's offense looked bad. Maybe it's just a statement of how great Georgia's defense is. But
Georgia, don't be wrong, Georgia's defense is great. We knew that coming in. We knew both defenses were going to be great. And that's what we got. We got defensive performance. But to be that, I think the offensive line was just that bad. I was reading a little bit that maybe it's time to. I remember even before the game, I was reading on TigerNet, which is one of the Clemson fan pages, and they were saying, "Do you think that this is going to be the retirement year for Robbie Caldwell, who was the offensive line coach?" And they're like, "Yeah, it might be because especially after last year, we'll see how this game goes." And I started doing some dig on my own. Robbie Caldwell got hired as the offensive line coach in 2011, which is pretty much when Clemson got good. That's when they won their first ACC championship in quite some time. However, during that time, since he got hired, Clemson has had 4 offensive linemen drafted. 4 in 10
in just what round?
Years. In all rounds. 1 through 7. 4.
Alabama has 4 a year.
Only one of those players was drafted in the top 3 rounds, in the first 3 rounds. And that was Jackson Carman. That's it. All 4. And that's awful. I mean, as you said,
like I said, Alabama gets 4 a year in the first round. I'm pretty sure.
Georgia, those teams produce. And if you really look back at, Clemson's winning national championships and whatnot, the offensive line, there was not much of a run game in those national championship games. It's Trevor and Deshaun running around making plays and the wide receivers making awesome catches. You're not seeing ETN or Wayne Gallman running down the field. It's the quarterbacks. And DJ, out of those 3, is probably the least mobile, especially after what we saw last night.
Which is shocking.
He didn't break out.
I think he would be moving.
I thought so too after I watched the Boston College game from last year because he had some good runs, but it just felt like they just didn't want him to move at all. They just wanted to stand in the pocket and throw.
Yeah, the game plan last night was just – I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I guess they have a bad offensive line.
Awful offensive line. I think it's – if you're Nick Saban, if this happened at Alabama, they got to be gone. Robbie Caldwell would be gone. And they'd be looking for a new offensive line coach who can develop players and throw them in the NFL. Out of those 4 players that have been drafted,
because Clemson
did 20 4- and 5-star offensive lineman players over that period. Only 4 have gone to the NFL.
That's really bad. I mean, Clemson produces NFL talent. It produces it on wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. I mean, a lot of D line, defensive backs, stuff of that nature. So to think that they just never had a lot of luck on the offensive line, it's just shocking. It really is. That game yesterday was just not good. No. That's all you can say. It was a defensive performance, and the offense. I mean, the offense looked terrible all game.
Couldn't run the ball at all. And
we've been spoiled. That's what it is. I saw somebody say that on Twitter. I mean, we've had generational talents here. Say what you will about Deshaun Watson. He was a great player, is a great player. Trevor Lawrence, fantastic. Wide receivers have been good.
Even
had some good wide receivers recently.
Even like Taj Boyd. I mean, he's a system player, but same with Kelly Bryant. They're both system players, but they played the system well enough to win and get to big games.
We've been spoiled with good things, and now that we don't have them, makes you think.
I mean, I think DJ's still good enough to.
Yeah, where's Clemson headed?
It's just, I think
Clemson's going to win. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you said, we could walk away with this and say, "Oh my God, Clemson's terrible on offense, and they're blah 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 blah." But I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the country, probably the second best. I would say Georgia probably has the best.
I mean, if you look at it, I think
and then
next few games are easy. Next game is South Carolina State, which we'll talk about in the next show. DJ can recover. It's just can't. What do you do with this offensive line? If they can get the offensive line decent, you can win a championship. You can win a national championship.
I agree.
You've seen DJ play. Anyways.
All right. Yeah, I mean, get the offensive line straight, get some confidence back in this team. See where you go from there. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, that's Clemson, Georgia. Whew, that was a lot. Oklahoma, Tulane.
Just keep them rolling.
We're gonna keep. I'm gonna keep punching.
Luckily, Oklahoma did win this game. Oklahoma won 40-35 against Tulane. Oklahoma looked bad to start. Looked awful to start. Tulane in their first two drives. Well, Spencer Rattler on the very first drive threw an interception. Awful interception of double coverage. Tulane then scores. We respond, we score. And then they score again. So we're down 14-7. And then that's when things started to click for Oklahoma. The defense honestly crushed Tulane until halftime. From that period, once Tulane's got that second touchdown until halftime, defense was crushing. I think they had like 3 fumbles. The offense couldn't get anywhere. The quarterback was hurt. He was bleeding, everything. We were just hitting him every single time. The offense was starting to get rolling again. We were up 37-14 at halftime. We were rolling. And then the second half, Oklahoma scored 1 field goal, and that was it. And then, we just didn't close out the game. It felt like last year's 2 losses for Oklahoma against Kansas State and Iowa State. We were ahead in both games. We were feeling good in both games, and they both came back and beat us. It felt like the exact same. Unfortunately, this time we won. Spencer Rattler couldn't get anything going. The defense had stops, but we just kept giving them chances and giving them chances and giving them chances. And honestly, Oklahoma probably should have lost because we were up 5 points with 2 minutes to go. Tulane kicks an onside kick and recovered the ball. Luckily, the defense came through and got a 3-and-out, won us the game. But Oklahoma needs to figure this out like they did last year because they figured it out last year. Just got to figure it out again, it sounds like.
Are you ready, Ryan, for me to just mantle the? Yeah, I've been look at my chops at this one. Just kidding. I just want to humble you a little bit.
Oh, I'm humbled. I was just sitting there like, oh my God.
To me, I'm not gonna humble you, but this is what I think. To me, it looked like Oklahoma was back up to their dirty deeds. Spencer Rattler looked like he wasn't that much better. That was just my opinion. I feel may have made some tough decisions first game. I'm not gonna be too hard. He better get better though.
Agree.
Oklahoma has an embarrassment of riches in the wide receiver position. It made me mad yesterday when I saw Mike Woods catch a couple passes. That got on my nerves. He should be a Razorback, but whatever. He betrayed us. So I'm not mad at Oklahoma. I'm mad at Mike Woods for betraying us, but is what it is. And then their defense just kind of collapsed in the second half, like you said. I mean, Tulane, I watched that guy. He was about 5 inches from getting the first down and then keep on moving the ball down the field. But Oklahoma escapes. How do I put this without sounding like a dick? Same old Oklahoma. They better improve or they're going to get upset.
True.
And that's just the way it is. I don't know who's going to upset them. Could be Kansas State again. Ooh. But I think we're kind of getting down to that. Like, I mean, we'll talk about Bama here in a couple minutes and Ohio State. But when it comes to it, I don't think Alabama is going to lose a game. My Texas A&M SEC pick is not looking good. Their quarterback looked horrible. They're not on our docket, but he threw like 5 interceptions. Terrible. They did win. Now it was against Kent State, I believe. So, I mean, it's just terrible. Anyway, Alabama's going to roll. Georgia's going to roll. They don't play anybody the rest of the season. Ohio State's probably going to roll. They look good. Clemson needs somebody to lose. And it can't be the 2 SEC ones because they're probably going to make it. So if you need somebody to lose, you probably need Oklahoma or Ohio State to drop one. And that's kind of where Clemson stands right now.
Yeah.
And I think the odds are that Oklahoma's probably the best one to drop those. I hate to say that, Ryan.
I agree. I mean, historically, Oklahoma just always seems to drop that one. And
that's all they need at this point.
Clemson does look a little bit better in the fact that they lost to such a good team in Georgia. Because you got to think, Georgia is probably going to run the East.
Yeah, exactly. Florida did not look good.
No, Florida didn't look that great.
FAU might be a good team and everything, but Florida just.
Oh, yeah. We'll see what happens, Georgia Bama. But even then, we've seen it. The loser of the SEC championship game has gone to the playoff. We've seen it. It's very possible it's going to happen again.
If they're both undefeated going into it, they absolutely will.
Oh, for sure. Ohio State, we'll get to that a little bit as well.
Georgia also seems like drop one every year.
That is true.
But Georgia might withhold that over Clemson, though. So it's hard to say right now. But,
if Georgia has 2 losses, I would say Clemson gets in. Like if they lose to Florida.
And then they lose to Alabama?
Alabama, I think they would miss out.
They might lose to Alabama.
And Ohio State, I mean, I think the only real difficult team, well, 2 difficult teams.
Michigan.
Oregon, which they play next week. And I think they'll crush Oregon.
I think they will too.
And then Penn State. I don't think
Michigan, yeah. And Michigan.
Sure.
Ryan, not high on the Wolverines. All right, moving on. Penn State versus Wisconsin. I'll start this one. Terrible game, very boring. But I'm not sure if the defenses were good or the offenses were bad. Maybe it was both. That's what I have to say about it.
Former Clemson running back Chez Mellusi did run for over 100 yards for Wisconsin, but that was like the only thing that I was watching the game for.
God, I feel bad for anybody watching the game, including myself.
It was bad. It was just so boring. It was because they weren't passing. They were just trying to run the ball. Both teams.
That's Big Ten football, baby. You can't ask for nothing more than that.
It was really ugly.
Chez Mellusi did look good though.
He was like the only offensive player who actually looked decent.
I wish he was back in Clemson.
I don't think it would have helped. I mean, Georgia was just in that backfield.
Sure. He can't do anything. The offensive line's bad. All right, there's Penn State, Wisconsin. Penn State won 16-10. Oh, man, we're really getting into the meat here. Iowa versus Indiana, 34-6. I didn't watch this game. I had no real interest. Iowa slammed them, though. So we are wrong on that pick.
Yeah, I did watch about the first half of this game. Penix Jr., who was a star last year for Indiana at quarterback, was awful. I think he threw 3 interceptions. And he got benched after I quit watching the game. But he got benched. And, Iowa just steamrolled them 34-6. Iowa might be a good team. They might. Who knows?
We'll see. Oh, man, they really got Ohio State sweating.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Ohio State beat Minnesota 45-31. What do we think about Ohio State?
Ohio State looked a little skimpy.
The defense looked bad.
Defense didn't look great.
I will confidently say that.
Defense didn't look great. The first half, honestly, Minnesota, I think, played better than Ohio State.
I think so, too. Absolutely. They were up 14-10, weren't they?
Something like that, yeah. Maybe it was 21-17. Minnesota was winning at halftime. Second half, Ohio State was literally just dropping bombs.
Yeah, they were.
The holes were just opening. The running backs were running through them. They were just throwing.
I mean, I don't know if that was just because Ohio State was great, which they are. Like, they have skill positions on top of skill positions.
Yeah, they're good.
The fact that guy is still there. What's his name? Chris Olave? He must be the biggest dude. He's the best wide receiver in college football. He's starting to emerge as my Heisman pick. And the biggest idiot on the face of the planet Earth. Why are you not in the NFL? What are you doing? You could be a millionaire. You could be a millionaire right now. What are you doing, you big dummy? Get in the NFL.
He wanted to go to the draft after Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle were out of the way.
Who gives a hell? I mean, who matters? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jalen Waddle got drafted at 8. Devontae Smith at 10.
Jamar Chase was in there too.
He got drafted at like 7. You would have been 11th. Who cares? He's still 11th. It don't matter. That don't matter. That's all good. That don't matter.
Maybe he wants that title. Who knows? But
you'll get it.
Ohio State,
I mean, not like national championship. He might win the Heisman, but he ain't winning. He might be the best wide receiver in the draft. He ain't winning no national championship. That's why Alabama's sitting there. Anyway, go ahead.
Ohio State, I think they were the better team, especially in the second half. Refs helped them a little bit.
Oh my God. You talking about that one play? I want everybody, if you listen to this podcast, part of the podcast, there is a play in that game where an Ohio State player kills a man with his helmet and they don't call it targeting. Arkansas had 2 players ejected for targeting yesterday for nothing. And the Ohio State guy literally killed a guy. I mean, he's dead. He's not actually dead, but he killed a guy. And nothing.
There were 2
they would never
targeting calls. So that final targeting call was the worst one because he literally
knocked the guy out or something like that, didn't he?
And then they called it a fumble and gave the ball to Ohio State. They reviewed it and they're like, no, it's
not targeting, even though he killed him.
And it's Ohio State's ball. But no,
the fix is in.
The refs missed 2 targeting calls, I think. And then they also missed several pass interference calls on Ohio State. But I still think Ohio State would have won either way. Probably just not as convincingly.
Yes, there you go. All right. Oh, my God. Do we have to talk about this team? Alabama beat Miami. So my question here is Alabama really good or is Miami really bad? Or is it a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both.
That's my God.
I was literally watching this game.
I was just getting depressed.
Bama was up 27-0. Miami just gotten their best defensive player ejected for targeting. And I was just sitting there like, every single year. This is just getting like, can they just not be good 1 year? They lose all their best players. Can they just not be good? Have one rebuilding year. Just one. But it's
not this year. That quarterback they had, what's his name?
Bryce Young.
He looked very good. Out of all the new guys we talked about, I think we talked about 3. We talked about C.J. Stroud, the guy at Texas A&M, the Texas guy, and the Alabama guy. He looked best out of all of them.
I think he's the favorite for the Heisman right now. I mean, he crushed it.
I guess. It is only week 1. I shouldn't slow my roll a little
quarterback, and he crushed it.
Yeah, he looked good. He made good decisions. He unlike DJ, he moved the pocket. Now Miami ain't Georgia, but still. He was running the pocket well, seeing things with his vision.
hitting his receivers. He did really well. Bama won 44-13, and it's just Bama's still here.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Virginia Tech upsets UNC 17-10. Sam Howell looked terrible.
Yeah, Sam Howell looked awful. I really enjoyed the game. I was happy for Virginia Tech. All this happy, sandstorm, whatever guys in the crowd, they look happy.
Good for them.
Good for them. Anyways, North Carolina looked like garbage. Mac Brown.
Looked defeated.
He looked like he was about to cry at the end of the game. He was just like torn apart. I was like, this sucks for you. I'm sorry. I love Mac Brown. He's a nice guy. VT came out. Their defense looked incredible. They stopped everything that North Carolina threw at them. They got points when they needed to, unlike Clemson, and they won the game.
There you go. Yeah, North Carolina, not as good as we thought they were. They lost a lot of stuff last year. I didn't realize that, when they were watching the broadcast of the game. They're like, North Carolina lost like all their wide receivers, running back, offensive line, defense. And the only thing came back was Sam Howell. I was like, what? Why are they ranked so high? Yeah, I mean, Sam Howell can only be as good as the tools that he has around him.
True.
He's not. Yeah, it looked bad. But he was probably really drafted like number 1 in the draft or something. All right, there you go.
All you, buddy.
I don't even want to talk about this game. I'm just going to get mad. Arkansas versus Rice. It was pathetic.
So
we covered.
Before we start, college football for me and Trennon is like a drug. Like right before you get into it, like you crave it, you need it, and then once you get into it and you're doing it, you're like, it's just you just hate it. You just feel miserable. It's just awful.
I hadn't been so miserable all year than I was yesterday when I was watching that game. I hated every moment of it. I hated it. I was mad after the game. Ryan texted me and I was like, I'm just mad. I'm just mad. I wasn't happy. Oh, they make me so mad. They suck so bad. We were down to Rice. I think it was
17-7
at half.
Yeah.
We're losing to Rice. They haven't won a game in 5 years. I don't know about the accuracy of this, but I'm pretty sure they've only won 5 games in 5 years.
Rice? They won 2 games last year.
Yeah, tell me about it. Should tell you something about the other seasons.
They went 2-3 and they beat an undefeated Marshall last year. So
I was sitting there just screaming about how Arkansas is pathetic. They turned the ball over. They got a bunch of penalties, and they were awful. They couldn't throw the ball. They were dropping passes. They were doing everything. They were doing everything wrong. Everything was wrong. They weren't doing anything right. They were literally doing. Now the SEC crew we had. SEC officiating is the worst scumbag organization in the world. I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this. No, I'm not going to say it. That would be bad. They're bad. Bad. I hate them. They're always bad. But Arkansas was making some bad penalties in that first half. And they would turn the ball over. They would make bad penalties. They would just do dumb stuff. They were a dumb football team. They couldn't pass the ball. They could barely run the ball. And we were losing 17-7 to Rice. Now, we did score 31 points unanswered to win, I believe,
38-17.
38-17. But still, I mean, what are we doing here, folks? To Rice. We're actually losing 10-7 because they did score 1 touchdown in the second half. So we're losing 10-7 in halftime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, they scored 1 touchdown in the second half. So, and then we went on to score 31 minutes. So we looked a lot better. We did cover. Beautiful cover by Arkansas. I was very happy about that. I was just mad. I'm just mad. KJ Jefferson looked bad in the first half, good in the second half. It is like Sam Pittman said. They kept pounding. I was watching his press conference, and then they kept pounding. They were like, that first half. He got so fed up with it at some point. He's like, we did come out and score 31 unanswered points in the second half. We won the game. That's true. I was just frustrated because I've been punished so many years by Arkansas. See, Ryan's all upset because Clemson lost. I told him, I'm used to losing. I know what it's like to be at the bottom of the mountain. I've lost by 35 points to Western Kentucky. I know what it feels like to lose. I know what it's like to suck. I know what that feels like.
Hey, I've been a Clemson fan during the dark ages. All right, I remember.
That's true. That's true.
I've just been spoiled these past 10 years.
Also repping my South Carolina jersey today. I thought that'd be funny. Jumping ship. Just kidding, but I thought it'd be funny to wear this. That's what I think about Arkansas. Big game next week against Texas. It's going to be prime time. Arguably the best game out there right now. I think it is. Ryan, you think it's Ohio State on Oregon?
I do think it could be our Ohio State, Oregon. I do think Ohio State's going to win by a fair margin, but we'll get into that another time.
There you go. South Carolina, yeah, Gamecocks, yeah. What do you do? Little cup, yeah, yeah, go Cox, baby. All right, South Carolina versus Eastern Illinois. Oh my gosh, the Gamecocks won and the Clemson Tigers didn't.
Bandwagon fan.
That's just what people are saying on Twitter, not me, but that's what people are saying. I'm a bandwagon fan. I see when things are headed in the right direction.
So South Carolina's got to play Georgia, and I want Clemson to play Eastern Illinois. Then we'll continue this conversation.
Oh my God, South Carolina, Georgia gonna fuck them up. That ain't gonna be funny. Say what?
I think it's in Athens too.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyways,
poor South Carolina. They're gonna have it rough. Anyway, what do you want to say about that? Zeb Nolan looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina's defense looked pretty good. They got the shutout, so good for them. They got 2 interceptions. One was for a pick 6. Special teams looked pretty good. Beamer ball's back in South Carolina. They had a blocked punt.
Wow.
Yeah, so good on them. Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant coach playing quarterback. He played pretty well, not great. He did have 4 touchdowns, which is probably which is very honestly pretty good. I mean, South Carolina looked pretty good. To be fair, it is Eastern Illinois, but it's a good stepping stone. So it's a good start to the Shane Beamer era.
I would like to point out that the announcers called Zeb Nolan fat yesterday because they were like that one. That guy was like, one of the announcers was like, I wonder what kind of diet he's on. He's like, well, he ain't on the same diet as the players.
On a coaching diet.
Yeah, he's like on the coaching diet. That's why like donuts and pizza. Also, Kevin Harris didn't play yesterday. I was looking at the stats of this game. He didn't play. Is he hurt?
Not that I know of, but
he didn't play. I wouldn't play him either. It was from freaking Eastern Illinois. They had a guy named Sequarion White, I think his name was.
Yeah, he had a big run too.
128 yards, I think 2 touchdowns. So good for him. Good for South Carolina. You need it because this team this year is going to be hard for you because you're going to suck. All right, UCLA versus LSU.
Okay. Trennon's been weird anyways. UCLA got the win over LSU. I'm thankful. I called LSU to win it. I'm thankful I'm wrong because I hate LSU too. I prefer UCLA to win. Overlooking all the games with the Pac-12 this week, I think UCLA looked like the best team in the Pac-12 South, maybe even the best team in the Pac-12. Well, I don't know. Fresno State's pretty good. But anyways, in terms of they almost beat Oregon. But UCLA looked pretty good. They won 38-27. I don't even think that was even reflective of the game because they were up 38-20 at one point. LSU just didn't look like they had it. They just looked a little off. I don't know if it's from the storm or if that's just how they are. Probably it's just how they are. Derek Stingley Jr., the very highly touted cornerback, didn't make the plays that needed to be made. He even had this awful play, I think, in the second half. It was the last touchdown that UCLA got, where he had the receiver wrapped up, and then the receiver just got out. He just shimmied out and scored a touchdown. I was like, supposed to be like one of the best players in college football. You're not supposed to let that happen. Anyways, LSU is in a sorry state, and I'm very happy that UCLA won. Trennon, what are your thoughts on this game? Because I'm sure you have some.
I picked UCLA. How do I put this without being canceled? Louisiana teams had a very rough day yesterday. They did. I think only one team from Louisiana won a ball game yesterday. Not good. I will say Tulane did show the best out of all of them. LSU didn't have a chance from the start. They were outplayed, they were outperformed, and they looked bad. They looked bad. I knew they were going to be bad. I mean, duh. Their defense is bad. Their offense is bad. Their quarterback's real bad. And bad. Good for LSU. I mean, good for UCLA, though, who were like getting dominated by LSU fans, by the way. There were way more LSU fans. But overall, I'm happy to see Coach O lose. Everybody looked bad on LSU. It's just good tidings for everybody. Made me very happy after Clemson lost.
Do you want to hear the interaction that happened with Coach O?
I saw the sissy blue shirt thing. You're not talking about that? That's what you're talking. That was before the game.
It was before the game?
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Anyway, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess Coach O was walking into the stadium and a Bruins fan started trash talking. I guess Coach O said, what did he say? Do you remember?
Why don't you come down here with your sissy ass blue shirt on?
Yeah. I
got it. Got a little something in my throat tonight, so you gotta bear with me. All right, here we go. Yeah, boy, all right, I'm gonna give me some go-bo. How's that sound? Hey, I'm Coach O. There you go. Hey, there you go. It took me a minute to get it rolling. Hey, come down here with your sissy ass blue shirt on. I'll show you something. Come down there and give you some Louisiana seriousness. Well, no Louisiana seriousness was in UCLA, Los Angeles last night in the City of Angels.
I'm very happy.
Falls.
Bruins won.
LSU falls 38-27, blowout. All right, USC versus San Jose State. I was very surprised by this.
Very low scoring. I thought it was going to be a lot more.
I thought it would be San Jose scoring a lot more points and USC not scoring that many, but USC wins pretty handily, 37. All right. FCS Montana beats Washington 13-7. Oh my God.
Washington was ranked.
Say what?
Washington was ranked.
Number 20 in the world.
They were, not anymore, but they were.
Oh no. Michigan's going to wax them next week.
Hey, maybe Montana will overcome the North Dakota State FCS dominance. Who knows?
There you go. Shout out to Washington for sucking. They got to go play Michigan next week.
Yeah.
Fresno versus Oregon, 31-24.
This is a very close game. At one point, Fresno was winning. I think with like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they were winning 24-21. Oregon just came back. They scored. Fresno just didn't have enough in the tank, but Fresno State looks pretty good. I think they could, be one of those group of 5 teams to, be up there at the end of the season.
True. I was very Jack Hayner. I was very impressed by him. I've been perspiring his praises for a while now. I think he's very good. I think he's going to be in the NFL. I think he's very, very good. Fresno State had the lead for a lot of this game, and they were tied for a lot of this game. We didn't get the lead till late in the fourth quarter. So shout out to Fresno. Are you going to, good job. You almost beat Oregon. You didn't, but you almost did. All right, now we just got some scores here, and I'm going to make some comments when comments are necessary. Are you ready? We're going to do a little speed round here. Duke loses to Charlotte 31-28. Bad for Duke. They were going to be the worst team in the country, but there is a worse team. There are actually 2 worse teams. Kansas beat South Dakota 17-14.
And they stormed the field.
And they did storm the field. I was about to say that. They stormed the field, everyone. They stormed the field.
That was their first one in over a year.
I think almost 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like 2019 was the last win.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I'd storm the field, too. Screw it. Florida sneaks past FAU for 35-14. Not impressed by Emory Jones. Not impressed by Florida. What do you think? Any thoughts?
I didn't dig deep into this game. At that, by the end of that game, I was kind of just done for the day.
Defeated.
That storyline just is not very sexy.
Yeah. All right. Michigan crushes Western Michigan 47-14. Any thought on the Wolverines? Can they beat Ohio State?
I think the Wolverines, I don't think they can beat Ohio State. Unfortunately for the Wolverines, their best receiver, I'm blanking on his name right now, tore his ACL, and that game's done for the season.
Who, Michigan?
Yep.
Oof, not good.
He had like 2 touchdowns in that game, too.
Kansas State beat Stanford 24-7.
Good one.
Oh, yeah, we're going to come back. Just roll with it. Yeah, sorry. We'll definitely come back to that. I'm not skipping that.
Yep. Kansas State did beat Stanford.
Stanford really has fallen off a cliff, haven't they? They are not what they used to be.
They need to get rid of David Shaw.
Yeah, he must be.
Maybe they need to hire Jim Harbaugh back. I don't know.
I think the relationship there has gone stagnant. They need to move on.
It's K-State. Hey, good win.
I skipped 2. Oh my goodness. I must be getting. No, I didn't. I skipped 1.
Yes.
All right. Holy Cross beat Uconn. That's beautiful. I don't even know anything about Holy Cross, but they beat Uconn. It was the Holy Cross of the Lord that delivered them the win against Uconn, the very sinful state of Connecticut.
Uconn they've got to be the absolute worst team. I am so excited to see them play Clemson.
It's going to be a slaughter. I don't even know how that got on the schedule.
Could you see Clemson's defense just wrecking that team?
Oh, that's so bad. That poor
times are coming for Clemson again. Okay, guys, it's coming.
The poor team. The poor players. I feel bad for them. Maryland beat West Virginia. I had no opinion on this game. I just thought it would be noteworthy to put in there 30-24.
That was a good game, though.
Oh, you watched a little bit of it?
Yeah, it was very back and forth. Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
Who was little brother.
Talia.
Game. Anyway, it was a fun game.
Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah, Talia Tagovailoa.
I do remember when Tua Tagovailoa was a hard name to say. Now it's DJ Ucla. Ucla.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Mississippi State. Oh, I wanted Mississippi State to lose so bad. They barely sneaked past Louisiana Tech 35-14.
Barstool Sports was like freaking out over this game. I guess one of them's like a Mississippi State fan or something.
Yeah, Brandon Walker.
They were
scumbag
freaking out, and it was hilarious. Luckily, I guess Mississippi State scored in the last.
I mean, Louisiana Tech really screwed the pooch on that one. They could have done more what they got, like a 46-yard field goal. You could have got at least a 35-yard. They were very, very conservative with their in-game play calling. It was not good. Yeah. Liberty beat Campbell. Only threw this in there because of you, Baisha. I don't even know if you listen to this. You're welcome. And I'm going to do this first because I want to end the show on the one I'm about to skip. Vanderbilt lost to East Tennessee State. They might be the worst team there. I mean, they're all those 3 that we named: Vanderbilt, Uconn, and who was the other one? Kansas?
No, Duke.
Kansas.
Kansas won.
We should give them some credit and at least beat their FCS opponent. Kansas, not Kansas. Vanderbilt.
Charlotte's not an FCS team, but
true. Vanderbilt, Duke, and Uconn, the big 3.
I think it's got
being terrible.
Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's better than Uconn. I think if you played them, Uconn would lose.
I think so too. I think Uconn's the worst team in the nation, but Vanderbilt is very bad. I mean, 23-3. That's not even close. They just blew you out. Not good. Not good at all. All right. UTSA beat Illinois 37-30. Ryan, what do you think I threw this game in here?
Oh my gosh, because of Brett Bielema?
Kind of, in a way. I want to bring some stuff up here, Ryan. I've told a couple people this, and it's blown everybody's mind so far. So Brett Bielema is the head coach at Illinois, ex-Arkansas Razorback head coach.
Yeah.
UTSA's coaching staff is like all Arkansas people. So they're from the last, it's confusing because they were mainly a part of the last grouping of people. They were with Chad Morris. But another fun fact, one of those guys was on the coaching staff with Brett Bielema.
Oh my gosh.
So it's all Arkansas all the time down in there versus Illinois. And I'm just pointing it out because you think Illinois versus UTSA. You're like, oh my God, San Antonio, Texas, and Illinois. What does that have to do with Arkansas? Everything. Everything. It has to do with everything. because Arkansas created both of those teams. And that's how I wanted to end it. Because I think that's a wild ending. I think that's probably blow some people's minds. They're going to be like, whoa! There you go. All right. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. That's it.
There you go.
I just was thinking the other day, too, before we end. I was like, I was going to tell you this, but I was like,
Do you want another Arkansas fun fact before we?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Chad Morris is back in the high
Oh,
school.
yeah. I love this. I know this.
He is coaching in the state of Texas.
That's right.
At Allen High School. Allen High School is one of the premier high school teams in Texas.
That's like a stadium of 61,000 people. I mean, that is like bigger than Coastal Carolina.
Worth $60 million.
They're what?
The high school stadium is $60 million. Anyways, since they built that stadium in 2010, they have not lost at that stadium, and they've had an impressive 84-game winning streak until this past Friday with Chad Morris as the head coach, where he got smoked 41-20.
He's done. He's ruined. Arkansas might have ruined him forever. I feel bad for the guy. I've never seen like a coach like just go on and just fail so dramatically after leaving a place.
I don't know what's happened to him because he was a fantastic high school coach in Texas. That's how he got his name. And then he went to
Tulsa.
He went to Tulsa.
They went to Clemson. They went to SMU and then Arkansas and Auburn.
Yeah, he put the blueprint for Clemson's offense that we still have. Maybe need to tweak a little bit now. They went to SMU, didn't really do anything, and then he went to Arkansas. It was just bad. But anyways, just wanted to throw that fun fact out there.
I mean, beautiful. Absolutely friggin' fantastic. I also wanted to point out right before we end it, Mondays are a big. So, I mean, ever since TNR has existed, we haven't even had a Monday show. Monday is the show. Monday's the main shebang. This is where you come and get your meat. I mean, Fridays are prediction shows now. That's all they are. Mondays are your big boy shows now. You want your best when we're just talking football and discussing things. I mean, I think Fridays are a little bit more procedural at this point. I really do. But Mondays are where you get your best opinions and stuff. So. All right. Well, that's it. Thank everybody for watching. If you have any comments, concerns, or questions, please let me know.
Have a good one.
Bye.
That's good.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching the YouTube version of the TNR Sports Show. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tune in every Friday and Monday for a new episode of the TNR Sports Show. I really appreciate it. Make sure to check out our other videos from the preseason or anything of that nature. And make sure you just share with your friends. I would really appreciate that as well. But again, thank you for watching the TNR Sports Show, Monday or Friday edition.